today my talk is going to be short, but I will tell you one thing. It'll be the most intense talk we've had. And I'll tell you why. Some of you are new today, but this is my third or fourth time subbing and being able to lecture. And my area of dialogue, which is my passion, is sharing the distinction between human doing versus human being. So the law of the legacy today, these are catchphrases that we all want. We want to be that, but are you willing to do that in order to be that, right? And this is what we're talking about. Not only does it take structure on how to, but it takes a mindset. And that's what I call generally the difference between human doing and versus human being. Human doing versus human. So if you've been with us throughout the series, and those of you that are committed to this, if you were to pick something up like this on the market, none of you would miss this. You'd take notes, you would review, you'd study, and you'd make this one of your most treasured items of your personal development every day. Don't be cheated by the entry price, not on this item right here, not on what you have with Ryan and Jolene and this organization. And I'll tell you, collectively, this team right here adds so much that each of you are an integral part of this puzzle that you don't even know. So you're part of this high caliber team that is looking to leave a legacy. So today's the law of the legacy. So like you said, for those of you that have not heard my lectures before, I think you may get the gist of it, because I want to springboard from here so that we can move forward. And today, if any day you have a pen and paper, it's today. And I will tell you, it's a little caveat. This isn't for the weak of heart today. And you've all been prayed for. I'm not going to go into spiritual dimension, but full disclosure, where I come from a spiritual background, unapologetically, because we'll go into the because at some other time when we have an opportunity. But because you guys are here, you've been prayed over. So I'm glad that you made an appointment and showed up today. That's the kind of day, okay? So it'll be, my presentation and talk will be short, it'll be compact, and we'll open it up for question and answer if necessary. If I say something that irks you, bothers you, irritates you, troubles you, I ask your forgiveness ahead of time, but I request your patience to hear through what I'm saying to the end and reserve judgment till we're at the end. Fair enough? So please, if I could have your undivided attention. This is what I'm terming for this group, as far as our talks are concerned, is the point of singularity. And if you're a physicist or have interest in something like that, you know what the point of singularity is. It's the point where all things are condensed and begin to start taking its position and its place in the universe. So let's call this our point of singularity for our sessions here for this group. So the law of legacy, like I said, I've been lecturing about the distinction between human doing and versus human being in this series when I've been able to substitute. John Maxwell describes the distinction this way. He says he's met hundreds of unhappy people at the top of their careers, yet he's never met an unhappy person on the journey of their calling. So that's how he distinguishes between human doing and human being. Let me say that one more time. John says he's met hundreds of unhappy people at the top of their careers, yet he's never met an unhappy person on the journey of their calling. So today, I'm going to give you some real-time action points. I've been asked by some of you, it's like, okay, these are great concepts, but what can I do? What can I do? And there's a point and a reason for that patience, but today I'm giving you some real action points. And if you hear me, and if during this lecture your heart beats a little faster because these words are speaking to you, and you are nudged because you know deep inside you, you need to be on your journey, then it's no accident you're on this Zoom. We had an appointment, and I'm glad you had the courage to show up this morning. This is our jumping off point, and please write this down. This is our jumping off point for today. Please write this down. And if necessary, repeat this to yourself if you're buying into what I'm sharing with you. So our jump off point is this: start treating yourself as though you were someone that matters. Let me say that again. Start treating yourself as though you were someone that matters. What does that mean? You all know what it means. You all have a significant other, someone that you would willingly lay down your life for, your spouse, your children, someone that matters to you. How do you treat them? You want the best for them. You seek the best health spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, relationally, don't you? How many of you have stayed awake at night over the decisions your teenagers or your young adults have made in your life? That's what I'm talking about, is treating someone as though they mattered. I'd like for you to start treating yourself as though you were someone who matters. You make a commitment to this, and you actually bet your life on this. We all bet our lives on something. We're all making a commitment to something in our lives. We're all betting our lives on something. It's just how we're hardwired. We all bet our lives on something, but the only thing worth betting your life on is the truth, So make a commitment to start telling yourself the truth about things. What does that mean? I want you to hear me. No one has to know you're entering into this internal truth dialogue mode after this talk today. You're going to tell yourself, you're going to make a commitment to start telling yourself the truth. No one has to know, so it's safe right now. You have this internal truth dialogue and a truth commitment to truth dialogue. And you don't have to share it with anyone, not yet anyway. But start by telling yourself the truth. Tell yourself that the reason you don't have a legacy yet clearly defined is because you're afraid, if that's what you are, for example. Or that you've made so many mistakes and wrong choices in your past that you don't trust yourself, and that you're afraid to repeat the mistakes because they're so painful to repeat. This truth dialogue and narrative has to be brutally honest with yourself. No one has to know. But be committed to this truth dialogue, and your journey and the direction you need to go will clarify and start defining itself for you because you're committed to truth, your truth. And be honest, it can be painful. Be honest as to what is keeping you where you are week after week, month after month, year after year. As you see people who started in a place where you are and they've advanced so far that they're seeming to be different in a different place. Let me tell you that that's not your measuring stick, the other guy last year. There's a reason why you are where you are today, why things have seemed to have been slowed for you. It's because you're in a season of learning, in a season to come to a place where the truth has to be surfaced and opened up to you. And I know it's painful, and I know it can be scary. And as a man, it's difficult to admit these things, but we're not men here, we're human beings. And that's what it means to be human, to be afraid, to be able to cry,
to have empathy, to seek truth. So have a truth dialogue with yourself. Be committed to this. Let this today be the beginning of the end of you living in fear. Today is the beginning of the end of you living in fear. And tell yourself that it's not okay for you to be weak and a loser to your fears. It's not okay. And you tell yourself until you realize and become it and believe it, and realize that it's an ethical crime for you to allow all of your potential to go to waste. Decide that today is the beginning of the end of that limited person. Today you start living by the truth. Today. It's the beginning of the end. Start by telling yourself the truth, then commit to it. And I'll tell you what, and if you do this, each day will be a little better than the day before, and the next day, and the next one, until it is who you are, a person who lives in honest truth. Now you're beginning to understand your human beingness. You have clarity of your purpose, and you create a vision for yourself and your journey that is singularly unique to yourself. And then you'll see how this is working for you, and you realize the things that you were doing in the past that weren't serving you. And you'll measure your progress each day, not by someone else's success today, but who you were yesterday. This is your measuring stick. This is your measuring stick. This is so key. Remember this. Your progress is determined not by someone else's success today. That's their own journey. Don't worry about anyone else. Worry about you. And by the way, this vision and this journey is often not what you think, because most of you have a vision and journey that is someone else's vision and journey. You've seen it, you've appropriated it, you like it, you think it's cool, but it's not yours. This is the only process by which you can come to discover your unique journey. If you follow someone else's journey, you'll be in that place where John Maxwell says, at the top of your career, absolutely unhappy and unfulfilled. There's nothing more frustrating and disappointing in life than putting time and energy and commitment for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and when you arrive, it's empty. There's nothing there. Don't do that to yourself anymore. Start the journey of truth, your truth. Some of my clients start out with me and ask me, what is it that I need to be and who should I be? And the most frustrating thing for them is, I don't have an answer. We'll look to discover the answer, because your answer is so unique to yourself that if you can't get to the place where you realize you have a unique journey to discover, there's a lot of growth that you need to go through. You need to realize you are a unique self. And we'll get into that at some point, perhaps when we have some face-to-face time. But I want you to realize your journey is unique to you, and the only way you can discover your journey, not someone else's journey for you, not what your parents think you should be, not what your ideal letters after your name suggest that you should be. Those things are wonderful. There's nothing wrong with that. But is that your truth? Is that someone else's truth? And unless you live your truth, you won't have the place of being able to leave a legacy, because all you're leaving is disappointment and bitterness and resentment and regret. Measure your progress each day, not by someone else's success today, but by who you were yesterday. This is your measuring stick. And when you do this, you'll now have a new way of being, a better way of being for yourself, for your family, for your country. So this is the law of how you live first, then leave a legacy. So I want to call you to be of good courage. I want to encourage you to face the dragons that challenge you. You know, so many stories are allegories or metaphors that ring true, and these are stories that are generationally appropriate and relevant. It's always the slaying of the dragon where the pot of gold is hidden. Why do these stories work? Because that's the journey of truth. The journey of truth is you don't get to get that pot of gold until you slay that dragon. Or Pinocchio, who had to, before arriving to his truth, had to go into the depths, in the bottom of the ocean in a whale. Or Jonah, who was running away from his truth and had to be in the belly of the whale for 3 nights in darkness and despair, and he had to slay his dragon. You don't get to get the promise of your journey until you slay the dragon. It's just how the hierarchy of life works. Have the courage to face your dragons that challenge you. And when you slay them, then you'll actually know, truly know, what you're capable of. Until then, you don't know what you're capable of. And when you live this life by design, then you make a difference in the world. You make a positive impact, and you inspire someone else to do the same. This is your purpose. This is your destiny. This is your hope. This is how you live a legacy, then you leave a legacy. And this is how you have life, and you have it abundantly. Great teacher said, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I've come that they may have life and have it abundantly. Realize there's a dragon that comes to steal and to destroy. What's that dragon or the thief looking to steal from you? Your personal journey, your unique purpose. Because once you dominate or rule over it and slay that dragon, you'll have life abundant. Why is life abundant? Because you're not being a human doing of doing a career that is unrewarding at the end of the day. You're a human being that is purposed. And your legacy is being created as you live it. You don't have to worry about a legacy. Just be who you were called to be. Your legacy will take care of itself. When you get these things aligned, things just fall into place. When you have your priorities right. Some of you live a life of just so frustrating, successfully frustrated. And that's what's so dangerous. Because you seem healthy overall by the world standards. You have your retirement account lined up for the day you look to retire. Your kids are doing pretty well. Your marriage is hanging in there, and you're not divorced. Is that how you want to go through life, not divorced? Or do you want to be married to the love of your life? Do you want your kids just to hang in there? Or to look at you as the hero who is helping them define what their life is? What do you want your epitaph to read at the end of the day? I guarantee you, if we start with the end in mind and we reverse engineer this, you'll find that what I'm sharing with you this morning rings true. It is the path through the dragon, through the land of the dragon, that has to be journeyed. And the courage has to be there for you to start confronting those dragons. We all have the dragons. There's no shortcuts. You wonder why it is that people are successful. They've slayed their dragons and they're ready for the next one. They've got the courage somehow, but it started somewhere. They weren't always that way. Today, I invite you to begin the end of your old life and start the new. A new life of courage, a new life of abundant thinking. Because therein lies your purpose and your journey. I will guarantee you at the end of this, your legacy will be secure and solid and beyond your wildest imagination at this point. So thank you for listening to me this morning. Man, I'll tell you, this is a month's worth of material, full slot, and there's so much to unpack here. And I hope it resonated with you. I hope it touched some of you. I hope it inspired some of you. Because as we inspire you, you need to inspire other people that are just starving and waiting for you to show up. Take responsibility. People are waiting for you to show up. There's no accident you were on this call this morning. None. You showed up because you were prayed for. You had an appointment with destiny, and I'm so glad you had the courage to be here this morning. Thank you for giving me a listening. I appreciate that. Ryan, I throw that back to you if there's any.
Skip, this was amazing. And this is obviously at the nucleus of much of our conversations and our, the strength of our relationship, our friendship, our brotherhood. We both have a passion for the fact that people have bought into undervaluing themselves just drastically. Can you give everybody some practical action steps that they could start doing today to start to reshape? And I know this could be a 12-week series. So I know I'm kind of putting some pressure on you a little bit, but give people 1 or 2 or 3 takeaways if you could, of things they could start doing right now, whether that be a book, whether that be some type of affirmation type of exercise, but where they can start to embrace the reality of their human beingness, that does not continue to impede their human doingness, right?
Thank you, Ryan, for thinking that. And you know what? You need Ryans in your life. I'll tell you what we're all guilty of, assuming that everyone understands exactly what you're thinking and viewing it from your view. And so when Ryan says these things, I've assumed I've already communicated that. So thank you for that. And that's what dialogue is, you guys. And we'll talk about that. One of my areas I work so strongly in with my clients is the art of effective communication. And that's a whole other wow factor. But to Ryan's point, there are 2 things that immediately come to mind. I'm going to, after the session, post something, and it may seem simple. When I do a contract with my clients, in the contract, there's a line that says, I will ask you to do things that you have no idea why you're doing it. And it's a throwback to the movie, The Karate Kid, the deep philosophical movie, The Karate Kid, with Mr. Miyagi. The wax on, wax off, paint the fence. Yeah, right, Sean? Wax on, wax off. Where he is, paint the fence, right? Where he is going through these rote moves and just, yes. So I like that this is a mature audience who understands that. So I tell my clients, just do it. Because one day you'll understand what the paint the fence means, okay? So I'm going to share this with you, but I will also tell you why. I'll tell you what the purpose of painting the fence is for this group. There's a position that you can start your mind. If you notice at the beginning of my talk, I said, before I put my feet on the ground, I look to start and calibrate my mind with gratitude, right? Now, these things we all want in our Western mindset, which I call the naturalistic mindset of material things, that give me the thing, the item, that will give me the non-item thing, right? We're going to have to dispel that a little bit, but we want to get into the mind of how to do these things which are non-mind, non-material things, which is love, truth, these things, okay? And so there's a video I will send you. It's a simple video. It's a TED Talk. So none of you can be scared or offended, right? It's TED Talk. It's like Switzerland. It's neutral. It's okay. It's a safe place, despite where you come from. And Rebecca's smiling over there because she knows where I'm going with this, because she's a student of this little video. It's about 5-minute video, Rebecca, 7 minutes, something like this. And if you were to start by every day looking at this video, it's called the gratitude. I call it the gratitude video. And when you see this video, it will start calibrating your brain. It's like brushing your brain in the morning. You brush your teeth, you put coffee into your system. What do you put into your mind? Which is almost, I think, more important than brushing your teeth sometimes. Don't neglect brushing your teeth, though, okay? I'm not saying that. But do this gratitude. Why? What this does is it starts conditioning your view of things. So when you're driving to the office or whatever you're doing in the morning, once you've gone through gratitude, it causes a neurophysiological change in you. We start creating new neural pathways, and that's just a whole other physiology. But what we're doing is we're creating new ways and perspectives to see things. And when you get into a place of gratitude, it does two things. Gratitude leads to a word that many of you will be uncomfortable with. I'm trying to get you to a position of humility. Many of you confuse humility with humiliation. Don't make that mistake. Humility is a strong position. It's one of the strongest human ethical mindset positions you can be in. It's humility. You can only go into humility through gratitude. Gratitude, then humility. Why? What does that do for the brain? When you're in gratitude, you're looking outward at the things that you have no control over, yet you benefit. And you dismiss yourself for a minute. And you start looking outwardly at a grander thing that supports life, if you will, that you have no control over, yet it's the reason why you have life. So gratitude gives you humility, which allows this mindset to learn. Listen, you guys, most of us don't have a lot of new things to learn. Our dragon is in unlearning stuff. And that requires humility, because sometimes that says, you know what, I was wrong. I've got to be humble, which is strong, to let go of that which is not serving me anymore. So that's the first thing you can do action step-wise. And if you need to brush your brain, brush your mind 2-3 times a day, do it. So that's one thing, Ryan. It's a long answer, but as to why, the wax on, wax off, you just do. It takes 66 days, scientists have found. I use the number 77. It takes 77 days to form, and you have it. If you were to commit to just that one item of gratitude in the morning before you started for 77 days, done. Done. You don't have to tell anyone anything. People will come to you, your family, your spouse, go, Dad, Moms, what's going on? I like the new you. Just watch. Try me on this. If not, I'll give you your money back, guaranteed. So that's a major action point, Ryan.
I love that. I am not philosophically a law of attraction guy, for the record, at all, unless it can be rooted in scripture, which there is basically. If anybody on here wants to actually understand where if you're a law of attraction person and you've found value in that, reach out. I want to help you understand how all of that comes from the Bible. Let me say this though. On that note, I will tell you this. If there was such a thing as a magnet for all the things that your heart desires, your creator already knows what's in there. And so when we deny ourselves the right to embrace and accept what we actually desire, we're now impeding the intent of what we desire in the first place. And gratitude will become the ultimate magnet for all those things that are already in your heart. And so I love what you shared, Skip, and man, so spot on. I just love watching the comments, how you know, your words are impacting people. Words are power. and your words have great power, my friend. And so we're all blessed to have you sowing into us. And I love this action step because for sure my life experience has taught me that exactly what you say, Skip, is true, that gratitude will change everything in your life.
It will. And to that point, I want to capitalize on this moment we've had together and the tone and the climate which we've shared here. Listen, in the scheme of things, it's morally unethical for you not to be the person you were destined to be. You know what that means? People around you, people in this community, people that you're called to impact go without the fullness of the fruit that you're called to deliver that only you can. And I can't be blessed by what you don't deliver that you should have delivered to me. So shame on you for not being who you should have been. Shame on me for not being and living the purpose that I have, because we need to speak into, we need to support, we need to be part and contribute to the fabric of this community. There's nothing worse than a shirt that has that one string that's unraveling and you want to pull it off and chop it off and your sleeve falls off. Do you know what I'm talking about? Don't be that string. We're part of the fabric and the weave together. It is, if you're frustrated in life, if you don't know what direction you're going, it's because here's the diagnosis. You've been called for something else, and now you're being shaken and you're being placed in your heart this uneasiness. Just, there's something more. You've got to do something different or you're going to explode. That's when you know your season has come, because all of the crap that you've gone through can now work for good. It's a mosaic. Have you ever seen a stained glass window? I love going to Europe and looking at the rose windows, and my kids and I do this. We look at the different rose glass windows, and I remember standing in Notre Dame with the famous rose glass window and being there at the right time when the light comes in. Do you know that's broken pieces of glass come together? Do you know what your maker uses your brokenness in life to make a rose glass window, man, that only is uniquely shining the light that goes through you and through your unique experiences? That's why you're unsettled in life. It's because you haven't found that place. And this is what we're talking about. This is why it's so heavy for 7 a.m. But it's transformative, not informative. You can get information, go to the bookstore, get all the information you want, have a gluttony fest of information. It's not going to do you good if you don't know what to do with it. This is what to do with it. I'm telling you, there's no shortcut to this, but it's a phenomenal journey. And when you have a community that's looking to support and cheer you on, are you kidding me? This is what this community is about. We're not here to see through you. We're here to see you through to the other end of your journey. So if you have any questions, is it okay, Ryan, if we open up for questions or comments? Or I'm sorry, I wish I could
Absolutely
have taken the comments and I don't know if I can access them later so I can address them or talk to them later, but
yeah, it keeps a transcript and I'll send it to you.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Usually,
but we can also take time for questions now. I would love that. I love the interaction. So I encourage anybody. Everyone should be able to unmute themselves. So by all means.
Usually it's my sweet Debbie who takes pictures and screenshots of my comments, but we've parted ways so we can be here to serve you. You guys, really, I'm sharing this with all the love of my heart. I just love this community like never before. One day when I have to tell you how valuable this community is, it has been around the block a little bit, you guys. And this community, I'm telling you, don't be freaked out by this word. It's ordained. Okay, let me use that word. And if that word bothers you, lighten up. All right, any questions? Love it, love the dialogue.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to make a comment about that gratitude video. So, like when you first started having me listen to it, I was like, oh, this is really cool. I like the pictures, the visuals he gives, and I kind of surface listened to what was being said, and I have found it difficult to do it every day, but I'm getting there. But you know what I have found, and I was thinking about it as you were talking about it, as I listen to it every day, I'm thinking, okay, I'm listening to this every day. What is it doing for me? But subconsciously, it's like embedding itself. Like I am finding myself more grateful for the things that are going on in my life, the people that are in my life. And I am finding it easier to, as you say, find my purpose. And a lot of that has been based on the questions that you have asked me, Skip, to take a look at myself. And in the beginning, when I looked at myself, I was saying, oh, well, they would be this way or they would be that way. And you pointed out to me that I don't need to worry about they, I need to worry about me. And so I needed to be grateful for where I am and who I am. And that's helped me see what my purpose is.
Mm-hmm. Thank you,
So,
Rebecca, so much for sharing that.
yeah, and it started with that video. Well, in our talks, but that video.
Thank you. Just so you know, I suppose it's okay. Rebecca is on my 12-week journey with me. And last week we had what I call her breakthrough. And it was phenomenal to get into the place. You keep an eye on this Rebecca person. Just watch her. And those of you that have been on for a little while have seen, but she is intentionally living a life by design, and she is slaying her dragons, man. She is superhero woman. She's amazing, and we're just looking to hold a mirror to her for her to realize how amazing her maker has created her. And it would be unethical for her to live another life. Could you imagine the people she's impacting that she wouldn't have because she was worried about herself and she was inwardly restricted by her fears? That's that verse that says there are thieves who want to steal that from her. But you have the courage. And so that's true of all of us. True of all of us. So thank you, Rebecca, for sharing that, and I'm so honored to be part of this journey with you. It's amazing, and we just had a great week this week. And anyway, thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Don't be shy, please. This is. I don't want you to synthetically ask questions, but I'm telling you, just value what we have right now. Don't let this slip by. Don't say, oh, I wish I could have. Don't be shy. This is a safe community. This is a place to talk, a place to ask these questions, because I'll tell you, not going to get it anywhere else. Should ask my wife, Debbie. She lives it. She's taking a vacation now. But every point we look at gratitude. We had this crisis, Debbie and I, a couple of days ago. And she sent me one of the most beautiful texts. She said, I'm so grateful that you have a mindset of gratitude and of level-headedness when it's chaotic. And just by living these things, look how you'll impact people in ways you don't know. And you know what? This isn't for you guys. It's for those around you. Nothing in life is given to you. If you don't slay that dragon, you're the black hole of all things in life. Once you slay that dragon, things are no longer given to you, they're given through you. And when you live that life, you realize all things fall into place. You'll see the people that are just attracted to you for unknown reasons. Why? Because that's a place where they're getting some living water. In a parched, thirsty, dry, self-centered, misaligned, hurt. This world is hurting you guys. Anyway, we won't get into this, but this is the time. Let's have this moment while we can, and then we can go back to what we need to do, the doing. Let's do some being right now while we're in this space.
Skip, this is Myra.
Hi, Myra.
Hi. I just wanted to say this was truly transformational. You know, I've been in many conferences, et cetera, and this is the deepest I've ever heard anyone go with where we need to be, what we need to be. And I just appreciate it so much. Every time that you speak, it really does bring a lot of light into where we need to be, what we need to be, especially for me right now. So thank you.
Myra, thank you for opening up and sharing that. Now, for all of us, you know what success is having an idea and a vision, attaching it to a feeling or an emotion, and finding a way to sustain it. You guys, let's take this event, whatever your thoughts are, and sustain what you're saying to yourself right now. Yes, I need that. I want that. I'm going to look for that. I'm going to do that. Those feelings that you're having right now, successful people find a way to sustain those feelings even when the feelings go away. Does that make sense? Find a way to sustain. And that's why that gratitude video will calibrate you. It's a little mental sticky note about our talk today. So, Myra, thank you so much for sharing that.
Hey, Skip, it's Oliver.
Hi, Oliver. Good morning.
So I just wanted to share, you know, since I've been part of this community, how it's been changing and altering my mindset on how I approach things, how I interact with people, particularly in the military, how I lead the young men and women who are under my charge. And for a long time, the way I've been trained, it's been very systematic with how you're training them, you know, how you're developing. The words that we hear is like how you lead your soldiers. But since I've been part of this community, I've altered, okay, I'm not just leading soldiers, I'm leading people. How do I make this person a better person as opposed to a better soldier? So I find that when I start breaking down, you know, when I do my mentorship discussions with them, if I'm improving the person, it becomes intertwined and it becomes full circle, and I'm improving the soldier as well as the person. And to me, improving the person is a lot more important than the soldier per se. So it's not so hypocritical, if you will, because some people think if they're one way as a soldier and a different way as a person, it's the same thing. And I try to explain to them, no, these two different things. If you're one way at work and you're a different way at home, you're being pretty hypocritical and you're not being consistent to who you truly are. So slowly but surely, it's been a little painful with some of them, but it's been a rewarding journey doing that. And I learned a lot of that through this community. So that's why I just wanted to share.
Oliver, thank you for that. Wow. That's where the rubber meets the road, isn't it? And coming from a military, are you kidding? You know the leverage you guys have? You don't have to develop people. You can tell people what to do, don't you? You have that leverage. By the way, so does your boss. You guys
True.
sometimes do a little bit of a dance because there's a paycheck at the end of the week. That's okay. We all need those seasons, but understand the dynamics that are in play here. That's where wisdom comes in. And Oliver, thank you for sharing that, because he's looking at human beings versus human doings. Someone described leadership as wanting the success of someone else more than your own. How do you evolve to that mindset? And by the way, these things aren't headlines. we're in a society that loves headlines. When we pause on these points, these have deep roots. They're only anchored in roots. You see the fruit of it, but what we're doing here is we're looking at the root system of this process. So that's why. And lastly, there's no drive-through transformation, as Myra used that word. Some of you for 30, 40, 50 years have been doing the same thing. What makes you think in 40 minutes you can change it? Are you kidding me? Don't deny yourself and don't be deceived that there's a shortcut. There's no shortcut through the dragon's lair. There isn't. Successful people have all gone through that, with communities encouraging you that you can and you should, because that's where the pot of gold lies. Have the courage to seek that pot of gold for yourselves. Thank you so much, Oliver, for doing that. That's awesome.
You know, I was thinking of another point as you were saying that, Skip. And, you know, as I'm going through this process that I'm doing, of course, sometimes I have the thought of, I wish it was a year from now so I could see, you know, be like, all right, I you know, a year, this is where I am, this is where I've come from. But in this process with you and the process that I'm doing, you know, with the other things that I'm trying to culminate, these changes in my life, I am finding myself looking at the process and enjoying each piece of it as I journey, because I know that there will never be that first day again where I was like, oh, it's the first day, I've taken the first step. I mean, there will always be things where I'm going to take the first step, but like where I'm coming from right now, that first step will be forever gone. And I know that I've had different times in my life where I had wished things away and I got to the end of the process. And then I went, dang, I wish I had enjoyed that moment more. Or I wish I had enjoyed this moment more because it brought me to this. And, you know, I've just wanted to rush through things. But now I'm understanding, especially, I think, because of that gratitude video, that I'm taking the moments, looking at the moments, and understanding that the vision of what I want for the future is actually getting closer and in reach. And if I rush through those things, I don't see that. I just see the end, and I miss the minute that I really needed, that could be helpful to me to help somebody else, or helpful to me for my family. And I'm just trying to catch all that, even though I wish like it was a year from now, or, you know, whatever goal I have set. So I'm trying to enjoy that.
Wonderful. Thank you for that perspective, because life is about perspective. Let me share this with this community really quickly on springboarding from that. I've sharpened my sword in different communities, and one that I learned the most in, and I was really kind of privileged to be in, was a Fortune 50 company. Okay, to be in the boardroom of those companies, and I work with some very high end. Some of you would know some of the people that I've had a chance to mentor, to coach. It's like I wasn't qualified, I thought, but anyway. What I learned the most was from that level of people is that no one at the high end of success, and what I mean high end is that's a visual high end, but there's high end success in every chapter. High end success moms, high end success teachers. I'm talking high end of being in whatever space you're called to be. No one at that high end has not gotten through this journey. None, without exception, none. Some of you want to shortcut this journey. We're here to tell you there ain't no shortcut. That's the bad news. The good news is what Rebecca says. None of you have children who have grown up who said, man, it went by so fast. How many of you wish you could have enjoyed each day or process a little bit more? How many of you had toddlers say, I can't wait till they're teenagers to throw them the keys to the car? How many of you want that broad jump, that process? Of course not. So your journey and your development is the same. It's an evolution, and it's beautiful at every step of the way. It's not a tortuous process. It's a discovery journey. It's life abundant every day as you're moving that way, because it's a life of gratitude. So thank you for sharing that, Rebecca. Sean Fields, how are you, my friend? I know we get to take each other's brain often throughout the week.
Excellent. Just soaking it in this morning. I just was dialoguing with Hernan, I think accidentally privately here. I meant for it to be publicly. I'm about to put what I said publicly, but thank you so much for your simplistic yet so deep concept of this humility and gratitude. The leadership that we seek in this community, or whatever, or we're looking to do in whatever we're doing in life, whether it's here or there or work, it's what I hear you saying is it sounds like leadership becomes a byproduct of living truly with that gratitude and humility.
That's well put. See, you're revealing what's behind the curtain where Oz lives, and no one who seeks leadership is a leader. Okay? Let that sink in. No one who seeks leadership obtains leadership. And we'll talk about that at another time. Just be, and you'll evolve into a leader, okay? Just be, and you'll evolve into a leader. Corey, so good to see you on, and we had a little chat yesterday, and we texted back and forth that, man, what about a community that would do these amazing things? And Corey, you're all, not only the community, said, what if we impacted the world like that? And I said, you know, 1,000-mile journey begins with one step. I'm like, Corey, let's take a step, right? Let's start walking this, because as we walk, kind of like Forrest Gump, people start walking because people are looking for a purpose in life, especially throughout this crisis and climate. There's nothing more prime in condition to a perfect storm for people, for you to build your teams and organizations. These are actionable things. This will build a permanent team. I've known guys in this industry, I've been in this industry 31 years, that have built teams over and over, hundreds and thousands of people over and over and over again. Why? Because it's not leadership. It's
right.
A leadership off the shelf, not true leadership that we're talking about here. There's the difference. So Corey, so good to have you join us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you. I appreciate you guys sharing your wisdom. I'm in a bit of a transitional period in my life right now, and this is crucial for me to be on these calls. I know I don't get on a lot of them. I haven't been doing the actions, and I came across a book recently on Audible. I wanted to share, to your point of human being versus human doing, and read or listen to this book if you're not afraid of adult language, because it's literally titled F Your Feelings. And one of the points that he makes in the book, and I'm barely into it, one of the points he makes is, and I got to double check the statistic. I like to do that when I hear somebody give a statistic, but he says that 95% of our decisions are based on emotion, meaning that literally only 5% of our decisions are based on logic and rationale. That blew my mind, because I'm like, I'm super logical. I'm so analytical. And I'm like,
that was such an emotional statement.
Yeah, exactly. Filled with ego, right? So I'm like, I've got to get this together. And so I'm like, okay, this book is great for me right now. And the whole point of it really is, it came from his curiosity as to why some people just seem to get over that I'm going to be somebody, and they just become somebody that they want to become. Some people just become successful. They become, and define success how you want to, whatever it is. But yeah, some people just get it and do it, and then others don't. And he's like, why is that? And he kind of came up with obviously there's studies, and I haven't listened to much of the book so far, So I'm barely into it, but I know it's going to be good for me. I'll follow that up with a question for you, because you seem to be a guy who has done well and just, done it. And I don't know if you've always been this way. I don't know if it's a natural inclination for you, or if there's something within your mind that in a moment of, do I take this action, or do I take an action at all at this point, or do I stay where I am, so on and so forth. Is there something that clicks in your mind, or a thought that you have, or a statement you go to, or anything of that sort that has pushed you feel, past that limiting belief system?
Wow, Corey, thank you for all of that. That's, man, we need to connect somewhere. That's such a powerful, deep question. One wonderful observation. If Debbie were sitting next to me, she'd kind of maybe be smiling and poking at me, because one of the things I tell her so much is feelings are good, but we need to bridle our feelings and control it logically versus the other way around. Never make a long-term decision based on an emotional moment, okay? And the other thing I tell Debbie all the time is you can never reason with emotions. It's a different language, right? Okay, so all these things are absolutely true. And I think we've have a culture and a society that lends to that 95% needle being there. I wouldn't be surprised, something like that. And we'll talk about that when we have a chance to unpack these things. I mean, we need a weekend to really unpack these, because when you understand how they operate, you can place them in your compartment to navigate through. But Corey, thank you for that. It's a personal question. I'm so happy that you asked that, because I'm open to sharing that with you. I told Debbie, it took me 40 years to find Debbie. It took me 40 years. And I'll share with you at some other point. But what I mean by that, however, she said, man, I wish you would have met a long time ago. I met her 2 years ago, okay, 2 years ago. And she said, I wish how our lives would have been different. I said, you wouldn't have liked me a while back ago, okay? You wouldn't have liked who I was, and it wouldn't have worked. So what I'm saying with that is, there was a moment in life where I was doing, and I did well. I did well. I went deep into seven figures, kind of well, in this space, and this industry has been good to me. And my first 45 days in this business, I came in, I didn't know anything from up. I thought I was going to a job interview. My first paycheck 45 days later was $12,300. I didn't know any. Now, did it sustain like that and I'll only go up? Absolutely not. It would be a lie if I told you that. There were struggles, but I knew it worked. Okay, that's the first thing. So you know what I did? Whatever it took to build that check again. I was that guy. So I could tell you all the systems, what to do. The doing, got it. At one point, I realized the doing only gave me a certain amount of results and a certain depth and quality of people that I was attracting. But I'll tell you, to cut to the chase here as to why I am where I am today. And thank you for asking that, Corey. That's so deep. 25 years ago in 3 months, my life was transformed. I was at a deathbed of the most significant person in my life at that time, the most impactful person. It was my mom. Along that time period, as my mom was on her deathbed, there was an exchange in that time period where she was uncomfortable. She went through gastric cancer, and you know the pain that happens throughout the end of that. At one point, she was just having a hard time, and I thought I'd go into her room and share with her some words of comfort, because medically we couldn't do anything. We'd given her all the injections and everything at that point. And I walked in, and my brain was somewhere else than where it is today. And I said, God, if you're up there, if you are, you could fix this, but since you're not, at least work with me and help me say something that will comfort her. I don't know exactly what happened in that exchange, but I walked out, and as I closed the door from her room as she was settling, I was leaving her room in the middle of the night. I said, wait a minute. She just did for me what I should have done for her. How could she, at her state of mind and physicalness, comfort me? And I realized she had something that I wanted to investigate to see if it was real or true. That began my journey. And that began the journey of gratitude. And so that was the pivotal point of the evolution. But I had to have all of that junk happen and more junk to happen in the future for me to finally be able to realize this was my journey. And that's why I tell Debbie, had we met before, you wouldn't have liked me. I was the guy you don't like. I'd use you. I'd use you and we'd work together, make a bunch of money together. But once you were done producing, I didn't have time for you anymore.
Wow. I appreciate the honesty, man. That's deep.
And this is just so the opposite. And that's why I love this community so much, because it's rare, you guys. This is thin air. For Ryan and Jolene and Sal and Vanessa and Alan and Hernan and Sean and these leaders who are on here, who capture this vision, I'm telling you, I've searched high and low, so much so, and I'll be honest with you guys, I was looking to create my own community like this because I found no one in this industry gets it. They don't get it. They want rank, okay? I'll be honest, they want the rank. That's it. That's what they measure success by. And I go, well, take that to the grave. See how that works for you. We want to build a legacy, and that has to be transformative. So anyway, that's a long answer, Corey, for what you've done, but thank you for letting me share. I appreciate that.
I really appreciate it too. I can somewhat relate to your story. I lost my dad to cancer 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago now. And there was a lot of that going on where he gave me more than I could give him. And it was just eye-opening.
There you go. And these are lessons that we shouldn't bury because they're there for a reason, that if they're so rich. And this community, we can help unpack these things. Thank you for sharing that, Corey. Appreciate it. I look forward to connecting, okay? Yeah, thank you.
Corey, that was awesome, bro. You need to show up more often, my brother.
Will do, man. I appreciate it.
So, Ryan, I don't know if I think either everyone is shy or just not enough coffee yet. I don't know, but I just pray that I would have been able to share some words. And some people say, you know, that's another talk. And I'll wrap up my segment with this, a talk. I'll tell you, words are the only way we can get into someone else's heart, mind, and soul. So don't dismiss the power of talks, right? Words are so important that there's a great book that says the word became flesh. What a strange thing. In the beginning, God spoke. It was the words that took chaos into order. And he created us in his image. If we use that just as a metaphor, I don't care if you're a Christian or have a Jewish background or Judeo, it doesn't matter. Let's use this metaphorically as a book of wisdom. If we use that, God spoke chaos into order, and the word became flesh, and he made us in his image. Don't we also have the image like our Father to speak from chaos to order? That's why words matter. That's why thoughts matter. And this is what we're looking to craft, to give you the skills and the tools in order to craft the words that are serving you and your purpose, and to slay the dragon that is like a roaring lion waiting to devour, to steal, to rape, to pillage your dreams, to keep you average and ordinary in the human doing mode. Start seeking truth. And
I don't,
I thank you.
I don't think it's a function of shyness, Skip. The silence in the room would be, I believe, commensurate with that commonly recognized today as a mic drop, man. People's cups runneth over, for real. I think the reason there's not a lot of chatter is because you just delivered the proverbial mic drop, and everyone's cups runneth over at this moment. And so I'm going to simply piggyback with a final thought before we go. Folks, I've said this before. Skip has said it. Luis has said it. The other leaders have said it. I'm going to say it again. Your reaching out to people right now is not predicated on software performance, Forex, or any of that garbage. What we're doing here will impact people's lives in a so much more substantial way than, you know, the financial outcome that results from software that performs in Forex, right? I think you guys understand that what happens on these Saturday mornings is priceless. And so, you know, what I want to encourage all of us, myself included, I'm speaking to Ryan as much as I'm speaking to everybody else right now. Let's not miss the real impetus behind why we should be contacting and inviting, why we should be reaching out to people, whether we know when Variable is going to launch or not, okay? Because that is not the cake, right? Back to the law of the cake, right? That's not the cake. The cake is getting people connected with their human beingness. That's the cake. So with that, I've been absolutely inspired and transformed this morning, Skip. Thank you once again, brother, for being just an incredible instrument in the hands of our Creator, which you are, and we are all grateful. And so with that, everybody, look, it's a typical action-packed Saturday. This is the right way to start it off. You know, again, I almost hate to have to, you know, wind this up with the housekeeping things. It would be inappropriate for me to not just do the reminders, right? It's kind of ridiculous. Maybe we start doing them at the beginning so we don't have to. but you know, I mean, look, there are things on the schedule today that are important for people to be reminded of. So we do have the market forecast with Stephen Betterall, and then, guys, please help your teams know until Variable does launch, because the attendance has been low, understandably so. We're only doing the software study hall for 1 hour. I'll put that reminder out there again in the thread, but there's no need for us to sit on there for 2 hours because the reality is the reality, right? And by the way, can I say this on that last thought? You guys know you can invite people to this community and they don't have to enroll in Avoria Prime. You guys do understand that, right? When I say we should be contacting and inviting, that doesn't mean like they can't attend Saturday if they're not on a software subscription. I would actually venture to say your greatest recruiting tool. You guys want to build an amazing business. You want to build a really sustainable business. You want to build a business that, like we generally talk about when it comes to the monetary side of this business serves one function and one function only. It's to finance your dreams. That's it. It's not so we can have arbitrarily large bank accounts or so that we can have stuff or bling. It's that your dreams matter. Your dreams will impact other people, and your dreams have a price tag. And we need not shy away from the fact that dreams have price tags. That's okay. That's not a bad thing. You want to fast track your ability to finance your dreams. Here's your recruiting tool, folks, right here. It's called Saturday Mornings. Before there is something that will matter to people like Forex or AI software or any of those things, you know, what will matter even more to people and build you a stickier business? Get people exposed to Saturday Mornings as their first introduction to this community. Watch what happens in your business. I'm just saying. With that, all right, you guys, thank you everybody for being on this morning. Thank you again, Skip, for sewing into us, man. We love and appreciate you. As do, you know, we're grateful for every single person in this community. Love you guys. God bless you. Reach out if you need anything.